Hello, and welcome to the video for Thursday, November 5th for animation. Let you guys in from the waiting room.
Greg,
Hey, good morning.
good morning.
Wow, Marco, you got a brand new drawing.
Yes, I do.
That's cool. Now, I don't know my monsters as well as I should. Who's this guy?
This is Space Godzilla.
Space Godzilla, that's his actual given name.
Yes.
That's truly awesome. God, why do you think Godzilla is so popular?
I mean, look at him.
He's a giant fire-breathing, radiation-breathing lizard. That's dope.
I think it's because he's a dinosaur that walks like a man. You know what I mean? Like he's just this sort of anthropomorphous figure. He's like a guy in a dinosaur suit that has all this awesome powers, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He could also destroy an entire city if he wanted.
Yeah.
Which he has.
Everything we want to do, you know?
Yeah.
Go stomping through the city.
We're still in election purgatory right now.
I know, but it's possible that that situation may be lessened later today.
Maybe.
I guess my plan, I mean, because I'm just as anxious as everybody else, my plan is to try to distract myself with work and school, you know, until I hear some news.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm terrible at that.
Yeah.
I've just been watching it for the last 2 days.
I know, I keep tuning in, and like sometimes I'll wake up at 5 a.m, like I think I told you guys, and you know, and nothing changed, and I'm like, you gotta stop looking at this shit. Yeah.
I keep checking Google every freaking hour just to see if anything's changed. Occasionally it does, but not really.
Well, I mean, what I read was that a couple states are supposed to update their counts this afternoon, and so we may get some information then. So I guess we just have to distract ourselves with drawing and stuff.
Yeah. Cognitive drawing.
Yeah, drawing. Right. Speaking of cognitive drawing, actually, let me check something here. So, Blake, are you Mr. Presentation today?
That is me.
Okay. So I think we'll actually have a presentation before we move on to Vlad's favorite thing, which is cognitive drawing.
Unless we want to delay it, I don't mind.
Okay. So I'm making it so you can share your screen. Do you want to do it that way, Blake?
I have a link in it for at some point. Would you mind displaying it since it seemed it didn't work the other day?
Yeah, of course. Let me see. Let me go to Drive. Let's see. Oh, I got to go to this account. Okay, and then the Happy Drive folder. And let's see. How do you pronounce your name? Balake?
B-L-A-K-E G-U-S-T-A-F-S-O-N.
I know. I just wanted to say Balake once.
Okay.
Okay, and is it in the Show This Today folder? Yep,
Yes.
here it is. Okay, so we're going to open this with Google Slides. Okay, now sharing of the screen. Get rid of this big thing. Google's Drive trash has changed. Okay, can I dismiss this warning?
Tim Burton,
dismiss. Okay. So I can go to presentation mode. And then if you will tell me when to make the switches to the next slide, I will do so.
Sure. Looks like, unfortunately, some of the things I made in it didn't translate over to Google that well. But yes, the presentation today that I have organized is for Tim Burton, and more in particular, his form of animation. Yep, next slide. Here, these are all just like kind of like a hodgepodge of some of the movies that he's done over the years. None of them, of course, are animations per se, but They're just kind of like a way to just give you guys an idea. If you didn't know much about Tim Burton, like this is his style. It's that dark, edgy, real deep stuff.
Directed Batman movies?
Yes. He also had was it Johnny Depp, and I forget her name. They're usually in like almost all of his movies, and they're just like the dream team on them.
Helena Bonham Carter?
Yes, I think that's her name. But
the one here in Sweeney Todd.
Yes, that's her.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
So now to move more towards the actual animation aspects of Tim Burton. So we have The Nightmare Before Christmas. And if you didn't know the style of animation that's used in this, it's actually stop motion. Let's see. And one of the things that not too many people knew about The Nightmare Before Christmas was that while this one was being produced, he was also working on Batman. I believe it was the original Batman. So he wasn't on the set for The Nightmare Before Christmas that much. And he had to have, I believe it was Henry Selick. He was the actual director of Nightmare Before Christmas. You might know him from Coraline, and I believe James and the Giant Peach as well. He did those. But Tim Burton was there for the concept of Nightmare Before Christmas, and he helped produce it. Obviously composed by Danny Elfman. Some wonderful songs in that one. And let's see. Oh, yeah. Disney initially released this film through Touchstone Pictures because it was obviously not in the lines of how Disney normally does their thing, but they still wanted to keep that film for sure, I imagine. And one of the unique things about The Nightmare Before Christmas was that they had built around 60 different unique puppets for each of the characters. In total, that was how many they had built, but each one had at least 3 to 4 duplicates. So it was more like 200 puppets in total for the entire film. And if you'd like to click that link now, it'll just be like, I think it was a 10-minute thing. I had it started at a certain point.
Let me show you. Stop motion animation is a process whereby we take a puppet like this and we move them a little bit. Take your hand away, take a picture. We move them a little bit more. Take the hand away, take a picture. We repeat that. Picture, picture. We develop the film and we play it back. And without my hand being involved at all, his arm's going to swing around like this. It's a way to bring inanimate objects that aren't alive, to life.
To complete just 1 minute of finished film takes an entire week of shooting.
It requires, in my opinion, quite an artist and a technician, and that's a hard combination to find.
A very important part of doing really good stop motion is the same as any other animation, and that's being able to act things out for yourself and really feel it, and then translating that into what the character does.
By getting my own imagination going and seeing how it's going to play in my mind, I act it out. And I play with the puppet a little to see if my actions can be duplicated by the puppet. If they can, then I talk to Henry, the director, and see if he likes it.
They'll memorize it with their body, act it out several different ways. I'll act it out for them. We go back and forth and arrive on something. Down, picks it up. Looks, there's something in there, huh? Reaches inside, gets bit, and then fixes it on and leans in just as they finish.
I think a lot of animators, stop motion animators and 2D animators also, are just frustrated actors and possibly shy actors like myself who wouldn't want to get in front of the camera. And so it's kind of the nice sense to be able to let people see you, but not really see you. I get to hide behind puppets.
We know the basic blocking. We know the length of the scene within a few frames. So there's a very tight confined space the animator has to plug in. At that point, the animator becomes the character. Eureka! Jack, he's designed as a long-limbed, elegant, spider-like man, and naturally sort of wants to move that way.
We'll go insofar as actually analyzing that stuff frame by frame with a video recorder just to see how things move.
We get the move nailed and lighting, and we shoot tests, and we put them on loops and see them over and over and comment on virtually everything.
We do a series of tests called pop-throughs and run-throughs, and I talk with the director. He'll tell me what he likes, the changes he wants, and then we'll go for the final take.
We'll just be testing 3 or 4 times to make sure we like the action. And when the animator and the director feel comfortable with the acting that's going on, the overlapping of action between characters, then it's like, okay, now go for the hero shot. But in 6 days, something might happen, like a light might get jarred or the camera might slip. And when you're playing it back at speed, you're gonna notice that. And that sometimes is a shot killer.
It's not like a cell animated film where if you have a little problem with a frame, you can go back and erase that line, redraw it, and then rephotograph it. If you have a problem with a frame, you have to rephotograph the entire thing. So you've always got that sort of pressure on top of your head that, you know, while you're in the middle of a 400 frame shot that's taken 10 days to shoot, you know, it's the 9th day and something goes wrong.
There goes Christmas.
To animate Jack's facial expressions and mouth movements, the animators used hundreds of hand-sculpted replacement heads.
So every time he makes a different mouth position, you know, A, E, I, O, U, and then everything in between, and then in a mad way or a sad way or a happy way or a neutral way, we have to have a whole different sculpt of the head. We might use as many as 400 different Jack heads. Voices are read on exposure sheets, so we know precisely when to change a mouth position.
We've fed a photograph of each head into this computer. Then we pick a head to match each syllable of the character's dialogue or song. This establishes which head or mouth position the animator will use.
Oh, somewhere deep inside of these bones, an emptiness began to grow.
For instance, I need to use head number 43, so I'm gonna look here, there's 43, and that's the head that I'm using right now. I've been asked, how do you make a character blink? For Jack, we have these replacement series. So what I do is just take these, place them into Jack's eye. And so I do that for both eyes. And then after I take that frame of film, I take this out, close it a little bit more, take the frame of film, and then put the closed eye in. I might do this for 3 frames. So you're getting very quick action of just a blink, which brings the character to life even that much more. And that's just one more element of his realism. Just an extra touch.
Sally, she's actually probably got the best armature for subtle acting. She is supposed to be a little off balance, out of kilter. So we push her, we actually turn the camera at times. We put her neck out of joint, try to make her feel like she's faltering at times.
The puppet of Sally is able to speak and show emotions in a similar way to Jack. Animators can choose an entire new face for every expression change.
Because she has lovely long red hair, and we can't easily change her whole head like Jack's, we have given her a mask. So from her hairline back, there's literally a mask for every expression change.
To try and get the kind of character and acting and just technical smoothness that hasn't been seen in the medium before is the biggest difference in this film.
The final layering of atmospheric effects includes snow, smoke, shadows, fire, and electric lightning bolts.
Here, Gordon Baker studies a frame of packages being delivered by cartoon ghosts. First, the packages which we fly on strings are traced a frame at a time in a process called rotoscoping. Then the ghosts are hand-drawn to fit a frame at a time around those packages. The two are composited together, and that's the result you see.
Certainly no movie has been done on to this extent, to this level in stop motion animation with these kind of production values.
There's not a lot of glamour and it's very hard work. You have to repeat what you're doing constantly.
It's like making a live action movie in slow motion, really.
You can't embark on a project like this and just dream about when it's all over. You really have to enjoy the meticulousness of the work. Also, on a daily basis, we'll always have a few completed shots, and that's what we live for, and that's why most of us got into animation, and all of our efforts come together and bring a character to life.
If it all works together and runs smoothly, that's the payoff. That's the real work.
I'd like to think that our efforts using real light, real materials, real sets, and real talent will, give the audience something special, maybe a certain level of charm. That's what I get every day in screenings when we look at finished shots.
And to see it sort of happening is great. I mean, it's, for me, sort of watching the shots and things unfold, it's after 10 years of, designing it 10 years ago, it's really like a dream and very surreal and beautiful. So it's great. I mean, I'm very happy.
I believe it was our most horrible yet. Thank you, everyone.
Dope.
All right. So yeah, I definitely enjoy the whole stop motion aspects of Tim Burton
Welcome
stuff.
to New York City.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, I just really like that form of art. It's pretty amazing, like the amount of time that people have to sink into these films that they've created. It's just breathtaking. But next slide. The next one in Tim Burton's roster was The Corpse Bride. This time around, he ended up directing along with Mike Johnson, and he had Danny Elfman come back as the composer. It was still a stop motion animation. The plot of Corpse Bride was based around an old folk tale from like Russian Jewish descent, and there were a few changes, obviously, besides the year that it was made, from Nightmare Before Christmas to now, where technology allowed them to do a lot more different things. They were playing around with, I believe it was clockwork type face animations, where these technicians that were arranging things, instead of doing the mask method, they could now take like a little tool and just like adjust a screw in it, and it would adjust how their face would animate. So there was a lot more freedom for them to make these characters come to life. And they ended up transitioning over to digital format now, since that was the newer technology. And it allowed them to see their results the same day as they were shooting, so they could make their fixes on the fly. And to note, while they were filming this one, they were also Tim Burton was working on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I believe it was 3 different actors. Yes, Johnny Depp, Helen Carter, and Christopher Lee were also in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So they would essentially go during the day to film with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then at night they'd come and do their voice lines for The Corpse Bride. So it's just real funny stuff, I guess. Next slide. And Frankenweenie. This one was obviously based off of Tim Burton's live action version, and it had a few other changes to it. I believe in the similar vein as Corpse Bride. It was also stop motion, and one of the unique things about this one, besides the fact that it was just a remake of his original, was they tried to insert as many like references from the 90s and 80s horror films and whatnot. Like they had certain creatures in this film that resembled the Gremlins, and they had Godzilla icons in it, and a lot of characters were just based around stuff like obviously Frankenstein and Igor. It was just a nice little film, very unique. Next, please. And here's just a example of a bunch of other stop motion animations throughout the years. Tim Burton assisted with James and the Giant Peach as well with Henry Selick. So that's kind of why the atmosphere of James and the Giant Peach was kind of a little darker than most of the others. And next. I also included one other link if you think we have enough time. It's just one that just popped up the other day, Raya and the Last Dragon. I'm not sure if anyone's seen that yet or not, but it was a pretty cool little short.
I've seen the trailer.
Yeah, I've seen it too. I love
Yeah.
it.
It's pretty
awesome.
dope. Then again, I just love dragons.
Tell me the one whose safety deemed such destruction.
Clever. Tuk tuk, focus. Give me some shell. I got you. My whole life, I trained to become a guardian of the dragon gem. But this world has changed. And its people are divided. Now, to restore peace, I must find the last dragon. My name is Raya. You're getting a little too big for this, bud.
All right, nice job, Blake. Yay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you, Blake.
Tim Burton makes some great stop motion animation, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, I wish I could have come up with a little bit of a better way to show all of his work, but just with trying to keep it in a decent time frame.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of shocking how much work he's done in film and animation. It's amazing, and it's so interesting. I mean, there's nothing like Edward Scissorhands, you know. Okay, so let me check the class website. Where is it? Animation. Get in here somehow. Okay. All right. So I believe that the cognitive drawing file for today is quite small because we had a couple pages to do the other day. So if you go to the class website and click on that link and then open it up. Let's see. Okay. Yes, it's only one page today. Yay. And we only have to do these first 5 drawings, and then the next one is a sleep on it. So why don't you guys open that thing up? And I guess I've just kind of stopped showing the videos because they seem a little bit redundant in the sense that, you know, we're supposed to be drawing at it and not looking at it. And if we're watching the video, we're looking at it. So it just seems sort of pointless. So I'm going to not watch the video, but if you guys want to click over there and watch it while you draw or something, you're more than welcome to. Okay, so let's see. The first one is from memory. So let's check this dude out.
You know, doing these cognitive drawing exercises for the past few weeks has made me realize that the human body is actually quite difficult to draw.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most difficult things to draw because of its infinite variety. When you think about all the different angles and the different muscles, and you know, it's incredibly difficult. But you know, of course, we're not just learning to draw the human body. We're learning this whole process of cognitive drawing, which is looking at something and then looking away and drawing it, looking at it again for reference and stuff, and just kind of memorizing, getting the muscle memory, you know, of your mind and your hand-eye coordination to be able to reproduce things. And theoretically, if you created enough knowledge, enough of an encyclopedia of different angles and body parts and stuff, then you would be able to draw some of this stuff, you know, from memory. Basically, just pump out the human body in any form. So, you know, I guess practice makes perfect.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. So I gotta look at this guy, and then I gotta draw him. Okay. Okay, so I know everybody moves at a slightly different rate. Like I always say, I consider myself sort of a medium piece. So when I'm done, some people are still not done. Some people were finished a while ago, but hopefully you guys are close to finishing. If you finish something that you like, or you just want to share it, please upload it via the chat here or put it in your folder and let me know that it's there. And then go ahead and save it on your desktop, or I'm sorry, in your cognitive drawing folder. It'll be fun to go back and look through these at the end of the semester. You can see how you've progressed or degressed, I guess is one possibility. Okay, let me look and see. It looks like let's see. We got a Marco file here we can look at. Okay, so here's Marco's. And looks like you did a nice job getting these angles. These shoulder blades are kind of tough because those angles go kind of up and down like a seesaw. But yeah, this looks really good. Thanks for uploading that, Marco. It looks great. Oh, I missed this little thing in here. Let's see, did he put that in? There's like the little V. I guess it's just this thing right here. Okay. Yeah, that looks really good. Nice work, Marco. All right, let's see. All right, so anybody else have one done that they want to share with us, whether it's in your folder or you're going to upload it? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this one. Okay, and then, oh, by the way, you guys, I happen to have this file up here, so I thought I'd show you this one thing. So sometimes when you're doing animation, it's easy to use reference files from something else to create your animation, right? Like for example, when we worked on that walk cycle, you know, we had those pictures, the 9 pictures of the round-headed guy, and we traced over those, and then we put them all on top of each other and animated a little movie clip. Well, sometimes you can do that with other things too. Like for example, this is, you know, Adobe Animate right here. And what this is, you know, there's clip art that you can buy, right? And so there's this clip art walk cycle of this young woman. And so what I did was I just, you know, cut out each of the pictures of clip art and put each one in a frame. So we've got that one and then this, right? And so if you just like kind of, you know, cut the junk outside of them and put them on top of each other, you can, you know, create sort of a mock walk cycle, right? So then if I hit my loop tool here and I pull this back and hit play, then we've got a little walk cycle of this character, right? So the reason I grabbed this character was because I have a similar character that I'm trying to animate. It's this girl right here. So you can see I put in, it's actually this girl from this little sticker here. And so what I did was I put in the girl who's in the walk cycle. I went ahead and figured out about how many heads tall she was. So it looks like about 5.5 heads tall. And then I drew some lines here, some guidelines. And then I took this character and tried to redraw her here to be approximately the same height, right? And so, you know, then I worked on her costume a little bit. But now what I've got to do is make a new drawing of her in profile. And then I'll go ahead and bring that into Adobe Animate and basically make a new layer here and basically, you know, have individual pieces like the bottom of the leg, the bottom part of the arm, the top part of the arm, the torso, the head, and just, you know, draw all those individual pieces and put them on a new layer. And then, you know, one at a time, animate each one so that it works with this walk cycle that's going underneath it. And then when I'm done, I can just turn this layer off and I'll have, you know, my character doing a walk cycle. So, you know, sometimes you can use reference like that to help you with your animations, especially when you're first starting out. Eventually, if you do this enough, you know, you kind of get the hang of it, I would think. So I just had that up, so I thought I'd share that with you. Okay, so anybody else have any files they uploaded? Oh, Luna says, I remember her from your comic. Oh yeah, thanks, Luna. Yeah, her name's Boomerang Girl. Okay, let's see. So let's go back to the class website here. And if anybody else does upload one, we'll go ahead and take a look at it. Just let us know. So today we have an exercise. It's not actually animation. It's in the world of animation, but it's not actually animating anything. It's actually just drawing something using a technique called solid drawing. And so, you know, this exercise we're going to do today, you can actually do it in any drawing program, Illustrator, Photoshop. You can do it in Adobe Animate if you want, but we're not going to be animating. So it's the 11th principle of animation, and it's called solid drawing. So let's watch the video, and then we'll do a little solid drawing exercise. So here we go.
This video is based on the 12 principles of animation as described by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston. So the next principle is called solid drawing. This principle is about making sure that forms feel like they are in three-dimensional space with volume, weight, and balance. One thing that makes animating a lot easier is being able to draw a figure from all angles. This requires knowledge of three-dimensional drawing. For example, when drawing a line on a sphere, it must follow the contour of the sphere's surface. A straight line instantly makes the circle look flat. When drawing cubes, avoid making parallel lines. Lines should be bent towards the vanishing point, otherwise it will look like a flat symbol or a logo. When doing a rough pass of the character, use basic solid shapes like spheres, cubes, and cylinders to construct the character instead of circles, squares, and rectangles. This will help you be mindful of the space they're in. Another thing you can do is draw perspective lines on the ground to keep track of their distance from the camera so that you can know when to draw them bigger or smaller. When moving on to the clean line version of your character, be very mindful of overlap and try to include it whenever possible. Without overlap, everything appears to be on the same plane, but just adding a single line here and there can define where surfaces come out and where they recede. Another thing to note when doing lines is to avoid symmetry. Symmetrical lines look flat. Try to pair a straight line with a curved line or offset two curved lines so it looks more natural and dynamic. The principle of solid drawing applies to 3D animation as well, in regards to portraying weight and balance in the pose of a character. For example, avoid what's called twinning, which happens when the arms and legs and other paired features are doing the exact same thing. This is a known affliction that animators have to make a conscious effort to avoid. Instead, lean it over to one side, or put one hand on the hips, or give it a slouch, or do something to show that it has weight and has to keep its balance in a 3D environment. So that's all I've got for solid drawing. The last and final principle is called appeal. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the last video.
Okay, so solid drawing. So like I said, you can do this exercise in any of your favorite drawing programs. I'm going to go ahead and just open up Photoshop. Well, since I have it open already, I'm just going to make a new file here. Now, what I would like you to do for this exercise is to make a drawing of a character using the principles of solid drawing, and also to use the principles of overlap. So, you know, let's revisit what he talked about in the video here. So if you draw a character using circles, you know, and rectangles, you end up with a very flat looking character, right? Which is no good. You know, obviously we want something more interesting than that. So what I would like you guys to do is pick a character, and you can certainly draw your character that you're working on. Might be a good idea because you might get some insight into how to draw them, or you can just draw a generic character. But the idea is to not do this, but instead take every one of the shapes that you're drawing and turn it into a three-dimensional object. So instead of, and I'm going to draw this a little bigger too because it'll be easier for me. So instead of a circle, let's make a sphere. So make sure that you follow the contours of the sphere, right? And of course, you can use all of this stuff as guides, and then on another layer above it, do the final drawing of a character, right? So I might make, so also you want to use cylinders. So I might use a cylinder here for the neck. And to help me know that that's a cylinder, I might do things like, you know, put a line in here or a couple lines to help me indicate that that's kind of going around. Now, of course, the body can be some type of rectangle. Not rectangle, sorry, more like a cube, a solid rectangle, right? Okay, arms can be cylinders. Same with, let's see now, the hips can also be some sort of a solid, almost a triangular shape, perhaps. It really depends on what kind of character you're drawing. And then, of course, cylinders again for the legs. And you can use circles, or actually more accurately spheres for the hands. And then some sort of three-dimensional wedge shapes, like triangular shapes for the feet. Once again, you know, depending on your character, what they look like. Okay, and you may get some lines wrong. They may look a little off or whatever in this drawing, but that's okay. And like I said, you can then use this as a guide to make a new layer. Maybe then change the color of your ink or your digital ink or whatever it is. And then draw a more sort of final art over that, and then use the principle of overlap, which means some lines go in front of others to make it look like there's actual three-dimensionality happening there. I'm going to go ahead and carry the idea of three-dimensionality over to the face. And I'm just going to sort of build a nose here that's a little three-dimensional. Maybe I'll try and do the same with the eyes. I'll try and build out three-dimensional shapes, and then I can come back in and, you know, take away some of the lines, make it look a little more like a drawing. Don't want that here at all. That.
This shit ain't easy.
It's not easy. But you can tell when you're doing it that if you think about this stuff when you draw, you can very quickly start to make changes and make your stuff look more 3D.
Yeah.
It's almost like building a robot or an alien, you know, and you have to draw on all the planes. Now we can use some of our cognitive drawing to do this neck here. Cognitive drawing techniques. Now, I probably should give my guy some clothes here, but I'm just working on drawing the...
Clothes are overrated.
Yeah. Drawing the figure. Let's see. Remember also what he said about avoiding twinning. Well, we're not really animating, but the idea of drawing two lines that are straight opposite each other is verboten. You want to angle at least one of them or offset the angles. Now in my case, you know, I drew the first guy in this white background, and so if I turn that off, I lose my background. So I have to make another layer, select all, and then fill it with a white color. And then, you know, that'll hide my other stuff, and you can see my little, you know, muscle man or whatever. And then if I wanted to, I could take another layer on top of that and draw some clothes on top of it. Now this guy's far from perfect, but, you know, comparatively, compared to that thing over there, it's like Picasso, you know, or Da Vinci, you know, it's just so much more interesting, and then it's got more, you know, more dimension to it. And of course, now I can go in here without seeing the drawing underneath it and work on improving this guy. So once again, if you guys finish something that you think is fun or interesting, please upload it. I'd love to see it.
I think you erased part of his arm.
You think I erased part of his arm?
Yeah.
You mean this over here?
Yeah.
Oh, that was supposed to be part of his body. So I don't know. I think this arm looks infinitely better than this one. So I was going to try and improve this, and then use it as a model. Just kind of do it in reverse on the other side, you know. One thing that helps is to have some lines that kind of curve around that help define the geometric shape. Like, you know, down here when I made these cylinders, I made these lines that swooped around that help define the cylinder. And if I want, I can keep those in some way in my final drawing to, you know, help define the shapes, you know, of these objects.
I think I did it.
You want to upload it?
I guess. Let me find it. God damn you, Discord.
Yeah, it's definitely much harder than drawing something that's just flat, you know.
Hate you, Discord.
I know, I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, yours makes that little sound too? I thought I was the only one.
Okay, I put it in the dumb chat. I tried.
Yes, I tried. I like it. That's all you have to do is try.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So we got a three-dimensional head there because it's a sphere. And then you try to create some physical, you know, some shapes like this that I think these feet work pretty well because you can see the three-dimensionality and the head works really well too. So you might want to, and I see that you're starting to get like a body here. You might want to add some extra lines to help you define the planes. Like, you know, if it's a cube, the different planes, the front and the top and the sides. And that will help you, you know, create more three-dimensionality in this central part of the body, but it looks good. Okay, Luna says nice hair. Does look good, nice hair. Okay, I think I'm gonna save mine. I've tortured myself enough for one day. Let's see. Call this solid drawing. Okay, so if anyone else has one, please feel free to upload it or let me know that it's in your folder and we'll go take a look at it. Now, a lot of our class time in this remainder of the semester is going to be devoted to you guys working on your projects. So now is going to be a time after you finish this little drawing here to go work on your projects. Remember that our goal is to be animating at this point. You know, if you still have a few things that you can quickly do to get ready for animation, whether it's, you know, quickly sketch up a bunch of thumbnails and stick them in Adobe Animate to serve as a sort of animatic or, you know, moving storyboard to draw over, you can do that. But otherwise, you know, just get in there and start. If you know your story, you know your character, you have some idea of the background, just get in there and start doing like a rough of your animation, like we saw with Marco the other day. And that can, you know, the hardest thing is just to get started. Once you get started, you know, it's all downhill from there. You're just working on it. Okay, so let's see. Blake has got his in the folder. So we must be in Blake's folder right here. And here's the 3D guy. Cool. I like that guy. He definitely looks 3D. Yeah, and if you remember in cognitive drawing, you know, there was that day or two where we were taking the human figure and breaking it down into shapes. And of course, those were two-dimensional shapes, but if you make them three-dimensional, you can create this kind of solidity. And it definitely looks like this character has, you know, a solid body and dimension to him. And that's what you want to create with your characters. So that looks good, Blake.
Sexy.
You should get your guy and Vlad's guy together.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So why don't you guys go ahead and work on that? I'll turn my video off, but I'll still be here. If you have a question or you want to run anything by me, you know, get feedback on something, just let me know. We got one from Marco here we're going to look at before we get started. Okay. Now, how do you pronounce the name again, Marco?
Ada.
Ada? Okay, that's what I was going to say, but I wanted to be sure. So this is Marco's character from his animation that he's working on. And you can see that he's very familiar with the character and he's drawn her in a way that produces the idea of solid drawing. Now, he's also done some of what I forgot to demo there in my old drawing, which is the overlap. And the overlap is where one thing is in front of another, like this part of the jacket is in front of the leg. This line right here indicates that this, you know, jeans or whatever, they come over in front of this. You've got these lines here that indicate, you know, fold lines and some cuffs on the jeans, or maybe those are the boots. You know, the hair, of course, being in front of the head and this arm being behind the jacket. So, you know, this does look like a very three-dimensional solid figure because he's using all of those techniques. So nice job, Marco.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So why don't you guys work on that stuff? And like I said, just pop in and let me know if you have a question. I'll check back in near the end of class.
I love you all in this class. You're all very talented people.
Yes, you are very talented people.